What is your "you have become the very thing you swore to destroy" moment?
When I was an apprentice electrician, it always pissed me off when my journeyman would make me do the hard manual parts of a job while he did the easier, but more technical work. I always swore that when I got my license and my first apprentice that I'd be different. That went out the window pretty quick.
Pretty big fall for a Jedi.
I teach at my old high school. Lol, literally have coworkers that have sent me to the principal's office before.
Our teachers who randomly walk by our noisy classroom would stop and say, "Is this a classroom or a market?" Then we would all settle down. 3 years after school I visited the school and the staff room was noisy with the teachers getting ready for lunch, and I walked in and said, "Hey, is this a staff room or a market?" That was so satisfying.
I was in a computer class in high school and would drive the teachers nuts. I even had the other kids mocking the teachers by shouting out, "On task," whenever the teacher would start looking around to make sure we were working. I now teach a high school computer class. A student the other day stopped me before I could tell them to put their phone away and go back to work by saying, I know, on task, on task." I was speechless and just left the student to return to my desk and rethink my life choices.
Teacher. Was not a good student. 100% see me doing poo every day. Although I often think, damn, these guys are tame. When I was their age. Then realizing that I'm so glad they are tame in comparison.
I spent a full year living with 4 roommates, one of whom left every pantry door open. I spent months and months trying to catch her in the act. Moved out to my own place, found out it was me all along. Like a horror movie.
My couch has no less than 8 decorative pillows on it. I am a monster.
This is the worst one.
2 years ago I was an electrician's apprentice. The safety guy would always get on to me about being unsafe and I'd hate it. I always thought of him as an overpaid underworked DK head. Turns out I was right. Now I'm an overpaid underworked DK head and it's awesome. The checks are amazing and the work is light as hell.
Electricity is no joke. I dropped a 400W halide light into a saltwater tank when I was shoulder deep moving stuff around. Terrifying, man. I locked up for what felt like minutes and only barely pulled myself out of the tank by the grace of God. My wife was in the room with me and I'm just glad she didn't touch me to pull me out.
Complaining to my son about him playing too much video games.
Greater than complaining to my son about him playing too much video games. Jealous?
When I set up the website blocker on the company network, I spent so much of my childhood trying to get around those blockers at school, and now I'm the one setting it up. Edit. Admittedly, I'm not so evil as to block things for being categorized as tasteless, like my school did. It's really just P and illegal things, but I still feel slimy for doing it. Edit 2. Also, so be clear, I don't work at a school. My company does, however, employ a lot of salesmen, and they're basically children, so.
Those weren't blockers, those are training programs.
In my early 20s I went to art college. I made a piece called Payday, the subject of which was 3 sad, balding middle-aged men with pot bellies in corporate attire. It was a commentary on an unrewarding corporate life in the pursuit of money I never wanted to live. 30 years later, I'm a senior corporate leader with a pot belly and a bald spot, and the picture I made in art college is hanging in the front hall of my slightly less than modest home. I love my job and everything that corporate life has given me, though I wish I could lose the pot belly and grow back the long grunge hair I had back then. Edit, the picture that several people have requested, link. Edit 2, thank you for the compliments on the artwork. You're all very kind people with great taste in art.
I make commercials for a living. I effing hate commercials to the core of my soul.
Ugh, dude, same. I got hired as an animator at an agency not too long ago, so I figured I'd be doing lots of fun and flashy animations. I don't mind making commercials so long as they've got interesting visuals, which is something I greatly enjoy doing. I've been making glorified PowerPoints about Medicare ever since I got hired. I frequently received feedback to literally make it less fun. A project I made 2 years ago, a fun and flashy internal use video, is getting a new iteration that I'll be doing soon. The old version made setting up web pages and product descriptions look interesting. They said they didn't like it and to have less fun with it, so I plan on being spiteful and making it effing awful to sit through. The problem with that is that I know that's exactly what they want. I'm reminded of the Pixies from Fairly Odd Parents, and how Timmy and the gang are the exciting antithesis of the drab corporate culture the Pixies represent. I didn't think I'd become one. Lord help me. Edit. To be clear, I understand branding and that sort of thing are very important to follow extremely closely, which includes visual flair or lack thereof. But I became an animator to make interesting motion, and I've done next to zero of that, and it's been driving me crazy.
I told my friends' kids they could have a toy if they didn't fight over it, and if they fought I would take it back. They agreed, then proceeded immediately fight over it when I turned around. Without any conscious input from my brain I span back and heard myself exclaim, "What did I just say?" And suddenly I was my mother.
One day I hope you have children that act just like you, the mother's curse.
I hated wearing polos because my mom always talked about how nice this other person's son looked wearing polos. I, now, wear polos to work every day because it's the easiest way to dress business casual. They're pretty much just fancy t-shirts.
When I first started my career in maintenance 28 years ago, all the senior mechanic did was sit inside his shop, bitch and moan about people breaking poo, and soak up cushy repairs on equipment and machinery we could bring to him inside his heated building, while myself and the other guys busted our effing asses swinging sledgehammers, welding, and lugging tools out into the freezing rain to make repairs. What a worthless piece of poo. After nearly 30 years of swinging sledgehammers, busting my hump out in the cold, pounding rivets and beating steel, I think I've earned the right to sit in my shop while these punk-ass newbies who barely know which end of the screwdriver to hold in their soft, unscarred hands take their turn out in the freezing rain. Especially since they keep breaking poo that would work fine if they would only take care of it and stop abusing equipment. Oh, my God.
With age comes an understanding.
When I was 16 I wanted to be in a famous band like Blink-182, have my own art studio, and destroy the concept of the 9 to 5. I have my own art studio in my home, but now I work for a bank and process loans in a 9 to 5. I was at work today realizing how I have become the Sith.
Growing up, my dad hated going out. When we went on church outings, we were always the first family to leave. He just wanted to stay in and read the paper or watch TV. I vowed to never be as boring as him when I got older. Now that I'm older, nothing makes me happier than when plans get cancelled and I can just chill at home, and not worry about the commute or how much money I'd have to spend going out. Even if it's something I'm looking forward to, like a band I really want to see, part of me still wants to not go because of how crappy the late night commute will be.
But something about plans being cancelled is so relieving. It's like, well, I've done all I can to be social, no more pressure today, which I know is probably not healthy, but damn, it feels good lol.
In my teen years I was a free living, no plans or aspirations type of person. You know, go with the flow FA job type. And always thought I'd be that way. Now I work 7 to 3:30 every day, meal prep, go to the gym and generally like to have a routine.
Always hated the fact my mother was an addict when I was growing up. Few months back I found myself doing a line of coke with my morning cup of tea. The revelation did not make me feel great, but it did give me a kick up the ass.
When I became a manager in the tech field, I was going to do everything different. Managers suck and don't know what they're talking about. They're all far removed from the work their reports are doing. I was going to be transparent. I was going to tell people everything. It took about a year to realize that managers do the things they do for a reason. Why is being transparent bad? Because upper levels of management are unstable. One day we're getting reorged. One day we're doubling our staff. My job was to be the poo umbrella, not tell everyone every possible thing that might happen. My new motto is, you worry about those fighters, I'll worry about the towers, link. Why didn't my previous manager know about all the technical poo that I did? Asterisk because I was an SDE and he was a manager. They're not the same job. I tried to stay super connected to the tech until one of my reports told me, I got 8 people on this team that can code. I got 1 person on this team who can be a manager. I need you to be the manager.
Poo. A long time ago, when I was 11 or so, I was walking across the schoolyard. My dad used to beat my ass when he was having a bad day and it really effed with me, so I was walking and just fuming, hating on him and how much of a tyrant he was for taking out his anger on me. Well, in that moment I bumped into a kid like 1/2 my size and he went to the ground. He hugged my legs, I think reflexively, and I just started pounding his face. I remember him crying, begging me to stop, the hatred, and then just a sudden moment of clarity. I realized I was a pooty person, that I was super mean, and that the kid I was hitting had done nothing wrong but was just a helpless target for my anger. I instantly flipped to empathizing for him, and saw myself for who I was. I can't describe the horror. I started crying and helping the boy up. We walked to the office together in tears and I ended up telling my principal everything. It was a long time ago, so they just decided to give me an in-school suspension and not inform my parents. Also, that kid and I ended up exchanging SNES games and playing MTG, Warhammer together a bunch in the following years. Andrew, dude, I can't apologize enough. And thank you so much for not leaving me in a hell of my own creation. Decades later, and I still think about you, and how kind of a person you were. You changed a life, man. Edit. Asterisk okay? Just to clear up misconceptions and mass respond. This did not flip a switch and end my relationship with violence and anger. That took, well, up until today and then some. I still have anger that flares up and completely blinds me, but after decades, I'm not losing control or lashing out. Andrew wasn't one of the kids that I went after at school. I picked on kids that I thought were bullies, totally oblivious to the commonalities between me and them. I don't really have words for those of you that were bullied, or hurt while at school. Except that those of you that fantasize about beating up bullies now, as adults, need to find a better method for feeling empowered. You are literally just adult versions of playground bullies. We all had the kids that we thought were okay to victimize for some justification or another.
My bully had a similar about face. He was my summer camp bully for years, and we both ended up in the same leadership program. What was going to be an awesome summer for me turned into a dreaded 10 weeks. In the first week they did a lot of interpersonal work and team building, but not the way you would think of it. It was damn near abusive, but it was intended to break us down so we would just open up to each other, and it worked. I was asked by someone that I didn't really seem like I had wanted to be there, even though I was excited at first. I revealed how afraid I was to be in this program with my bully, and when that was revealed my bully's head just dropped and he started sobbing. I rolled my eyes until he looked at me and I could just see how genuine his tears were. He wouldn't stop saying how sorry he was. He said he never imagined that it was that bad, but when I was forced to explain the bullying back to him he saw himself and his home life. He saw himself as the one who was bringing suffering just like others did to him. He ended up becoming my best friend at that summer camp until we grew out of it, and he would sometimes come visit me in the off-season. We just ended up clicking once our preconceptions and baggage were out of the way. This friendship was one of the most important in my life, and though we haven't spoken in decades either, I still hold his memory dearly in my heart. Having one's bully suddenly reach out and become a friend was a strange experience but taught me so much about the capacity for change, the inherent desire to be good, and the compassion needed to truly see people for who they are. So as someone whose bully also became a friend, let me speak for yours. Thank you too. Your effort to be a better person inspired me to strive to be one as well. For yours was mired in impossible suffering, yet in the end, you still reached out and became a friend. Thank you.
I grew up a pretty hardcore punker guy. Going G to shows, fighting, drinking, all that. Now, I am a two-time business owner and successful professional in my field. Boring dad that goes to cookouts, amusement parks and takes my wife and kid camping. You would never know that was me. My past me would key my car.
You see, life is like that. We changed, that's all. You see, the guy the first am now is not the guy the first was then. If the guy the first was then met the guy the first am now, he'd beat the poo out of me. Those are the facts.
I used to work super hard at my job. After hours learning new stuff, working crazy overtime, and really invested in new hires and getting processes on point. My leadership basically told me to just build poo in the worst way possible as long as it is the fastest way possible. Now I am approving poo that is under budgeted because we need to be competitive and I don't care about quality anymore. They fired like 4 people and I'm doing all their jobs without a raise, so I just don't give AF anymore. I had to fire a few of my people and we give out a great severance package, so I'm actively looking to get fired while I use my work time to improve my skills or play Elden Ring. F them. I joined the military as a straight-edge Christian and left a gay, beer-drinking, pot-smoking, atheist. Edit. Thanks for the highest honor of reporting my account to Reddit Cares.
Thank you for watching. We upload new videos every day, so be sure to come back for more fun. please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed the video.